Welcome to Bedtime History. Do you recognize that sound? That is the sound of a powerful train, also called a locomotive. You may have seen a train when your car was stopped and you had to wait to watch it pass. Or maybe you've even taken a ride on a train. Trains are extremely important because they move goods and people from one place to another and can do it very quickly. Railroads are one of the most important parts of American history because the country is very big and they helped connect the East and the West. Many years ago, it took a very long time to travel from the East to the West. Most people had to take a boat all the way around the continent, which took months to do. They could also take a wagon, like the pioneers, to cross the dangerous wilderness and tall mountains to get from one side of the country to another. Either way, it was a very difficult journey and kept the country separated in many ways. But in the 1800s, gold was discovered in the West, and many Americans moved there to try and strike it rich. And some even did. But one problem is how long it took to get there. One man, Asa Whitney, believed a railroad could be built right through the middle of the country. Many doubted this could be done, but Asa made a plan and went to the government with his idea. But no progress was made. Later, an American named Theodore Judah decided he would find a way to build a railroad across the country. He was a surveyor. A surveyor is someone who looks at the land with special tools and finds ways to build roads and buildings on it. Theodore had many good ideas about how the railroad could be built. He had to learn much about math and other sciences in order to design maps that could be used to make a path for the railroad. Eventually, two big companies, the Union Pacific Railroad and the Central Pacific Railroad, caught the vision and decided to make it happen. They called it the Transcontinental Railroad. So one company started in California and the other started in Nebraska with a plan to meet in the middle. Building the railroad across the country was a dangerous task and extremely difficult at times. They had to build tall bridges across wide rivers. To go through mountains, they had to dig deep holes, then place gunpowder in them and blow them up to create even deeper holes that went all the way through the mountain. Many smart engineers worked on creating a path for the 2,000 miles of track that were being laid. Railroad tracks were laid by pounding spikes into railroad ties. All of this work was done by hand, by pounding each spike in with a hammer. This was very difficult work, and many didn't survive the hard labor. Americans of all different races and colors helped build the railroad. One group that did much of the work were Chinese immigrants. An immigrant is someone who comes from another country. They worked long and hard for very little pay to help complete the monumental task. After 8 years of work, in 1869, the two companies met in the middle at Promontory Point, Utah. They threw a big party to celebrate the completion of the railroad. A gold spike had been prepared as the last spike in the railroad. The president of the Central Pacific Railroad, Governor Stanford, gave a speech, then lifted a hammer to pound the last spike into the ground, but he swung and missed. Many of those watching laughed. "He missed it," they said. He swung again and hit the gold spike in. Everyone cheered. News of the finished railroad was sent by telegram to both parts of the country. When it reached New York and California, they fired off cannons to show their excitement. It was truly an exciting time for the United States of America. A trip across the country had taken many months, now only took 10 days. The new Transcontinental Railroad was truly a miracle of hard work and smart minds all working together to accomplish a great task. If you enjoyed this episode, you can go to facebook.com/bedtime history and like our page and share it with your friends. You can also find our videos at youtube.com/bedtime history.